Chasing creates movement, and movement creates the illusion of control. When you chase, you stay active, questioning, reacting, interpreting every signal as leverage. It keeps the dynamic alive. I could analyze your tone, your timing, your distance, and convince myself I was still relevant. As long as there was interaction, there was influence. Even conflict would have kept me powerful, because power doesn't always come from harmony. Sometimes it comes from engagement. Your silence removed that structure completely. There was no rhythm to respond to, no emotional data to decode. Without your reactions, I couldn't adjust my behavior or justify my decisions. The usual cycle, provoke, wait, respond, regain footing, collapsed. And with it, the illusion that I was steering anything at all. For the first time, I wasn't reacting to you. I was facing myself. Silence has a way of stripping narratives down to facts. Without your presence, I couldn't blame confusion, mixed signals, or timing. There was no conversation to hide inside, no argument to win, no version of events to reshape in my favor. I had to sit with the reality that my choices were mine, uninterrupted, unchallenged, and undeniable. That stillness was uncomfortable because it offered no distraction. I couldn't perform certainty. I couldn't rehearse explanations. I couldn't negotiate distance. I had to acknowledge what I did, what I avoided, and what I delayed while assuming access would always remain. Chasing would have allowed me to stay sharp, defensive, strategic. Silence forced honesty, and honesty doesn't ask who's winning, it asks what's true. At first, freedom felt like relief. No expectations, no emotional maintenance, no responsibility to show up consistently or explain inconsistency. I told myself this was peace, the absence of obligation, the release from having to define anything clearly. But freedom without direction eventually reveals its emptiness. When there's no one watching, you stop performing. And when performance ends, so does the noise. That's when the difference between escape and fulfillment becomes obvious. I didn't miss the tension. I didn't miss the uncertainty. I didn't even miss the intensity. What I missed was the grounding, the quiet stability that didn't need constant stimulation to feel real. Without pressure to prove myself, I also lost the mirror that reflected who I was becoming. Your presence wasn't demanding, but it was anchoring. It gave shape to my emotional world. Without it, everything felt lighter, but also thinner. I realized I wasn't missing what I escaped from. I was missing what I no longer had access to. Freedom showed me that novelty fades quickly when it isn't anchored to meaning. Distractions excite, but they don't sustain. Newness keeps attention busy, not fulfilled. And when that excitement wore off, there was nothing solid underneath it, just space where something dependable used to be. That's when clarity arrived, not as regret, but as recognition. I didn't lose myself with you. I lost myself without you. And that understanding didn't come from longing, it came from contrast. I was used to emotional movement, reactions, explanations, reassurances. Those things signal availability. They tell you you're still important, still impactful. When someone explains themselves, they're still invested in being understood. Your calm did none of that. There was no justification, no emotional defense, no attempt to correct my perception. You didn't argue for your value. You didn't remind me of history. You didn't demand recognition. That absence of effort spoke louder than any confrontation could have. Your calm created space, and in that space, I felt something unfamiliar, the weight of losing access. Not losing you emotionally, losing proximity to your steadiness, your presence, your reliability. There was no dramatic ending to react against. No door slammed, just a quiet realization that something had closed without asking for permission. That kind of calm doesn't punish, it concludes. It forced me to confront a truth I hadn't prepared for. You didn't need to convince me because you were already done convincing yourself. Your silence wasn't avoidance, it was resolution, and in that stillness I felt smaller, not diminished, but exposed. Because nothing highlights what you took for granted more than realizing it's no longer within reach. Your calm didn't chase closure, it embodied it. This time, there is no fog, no emotional trial runs, no checking if the door is still open. The absence of confusion is what makes this moment honest. When you remove games, what remains is intent. If I return, it won't be because I miss attention, comfort, or validation. It won't be because I'm lonely or uncertain or searching for familiarity. It will be because I understand what I walked away from and why it mattered. Choice without persuasion is clarity. I no longer need convincing. I no longer need reassurance. I don't need proof of your value. Your silence already demonstrated it. What's left is responsibility. Returning now would mean showing up without leverage, without ambiguity, without the safety net of figuring it out. That's why this choice feels heavier and real. There's no testing because testing implies doubt. There's no confusion because confusion thrives on noise. What exists now is awareness of loss, of stability, of what consistency actually feels like when it's gone. If I return, it won't be to restart a story. It will be to continue one intentionally, and if I don't, the clarity remains the same. Because for the first time, the decision is quiet, grounded, and fully mine.